Hello students, welcome to BTech 360. We all know that one of the biggest examinations that you appear to get into an engineering college is of course JEE examination and through JOSA counselling. But most states also have their own entrance examinations, and some of the colleges where you would want to study, or some of these local state colleges that you have, are at times much better than IIITs, NITs and even IITs. They've been there for ages, for tens of years, 50 years, 100 years and those kind of things, and have been delivering student outcomes very, very consistently. So what we're going to do now is to start a series of all these examinations. Of course, you need to get into it based on the state domicile also, but some of these colleges also have the All India quota, which is the 15%, which is called CAP, Common Admission Process. So some of these colleges would also have, even if you're not a resident of Maharashtra, for example, you can still get into one of the best colleges in Maharashtra through the CAP process, which is the Common Admission Process. So what I'm going to show you is the top 5 colleges in each of these examinations that would be accepted. Right now we're starting with Maharashtra, where the examination is MHT CET, right, which is Maharashtra State, Common Entrance Examination. And here we're going to talk of the top 5 colleges, and based on your request, if you want me to cover any particular college in greater detail, we'll also do that. But let's start off this entire series with Maharashtra, and we'll do Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana. We'll do all states as we move along. If you want me to do any of your own state, please write to me and I'll be more than happy to do that. If you want me to dig deeper into any of these colleges, write to us and we'll dig deeper. And before I start off, please do subscribe to BTech 360. It's very important for us to know that you're actually benefiting from the kind of content that we deliver. So right now what we're talking about is MHT CET examination and for engineering, right? For this year about 4.23 lakh students appeared for the examination. So now just put things in context. From Maharashtra, not more than a lakh of students possibly appear for the JEE examination, but 4.23 lakh students appear for the MHT CET examination only for engineering. About 4.6 lakh plus students actually registered for the examination, and 4.23 lakh students appeared for the examination. So the competition is intense. And what I will show you is the top 5 colleges that you should be aiming for if you're, of course, residing in Maharashtra, or even if you're residing outside of India through the common admission process, whether you have an opportunity or an option of getting into any of these colleges, because here the student outcomes, which is placements, is far better than many of the NITs, IIITs, even IITs for that matter. Let me take you through that data, right? The first, thing that we're talking of, as I told you, 4.23 lakh students appeared. So it's very, very competitive. Let's talk of the top 5 colleges here. The first one is Veermata Jijabai Technological Institute, which is called BJTI. It's a premier institution in Maharashtra. It was established in 1887. Just imagine now. It's about 140 years old. That's the kind of legacy of this institution. 140 years old. It's preceded the British Raj also in that sense, right? And it's an autonomous college under the Mumbai University, spread over 16 acres. You look at the buildings, it's very, very legacy. You can actually feel the old world charm in this entire institution. Here the number of students was 2,794 in the year 24, of which about 73% are boys and 28% are girls, 27% are girls. And about 3% students come from outside the state of Maharashtra also. That obviously is through the CAP process, right? And 95% come from within the state. Now, and about 2.3% students come from outside the country also. So look at the legacy of the institution that 2.5% students come from outside the country to study at BJTI. That's the kind of reputation that this college carries. And look at the student faculty ratio also. 219 faculty for 2,800 students, which essentially we're talking of about 1:12, 1:13 kind of a student faculty ratio, which is the reason why it excels. I know the best of the faculty actually teaches here in BJTI, right? Now, what is the kind of placement that they have? Look at the last available data. This, by the way, is NRF data, right, which is the Government of India data. Now, this typically is 1 year late. Let us understand this so that there is some kind of a broad authenticated data that we have before we go to what the college also claims, right? So in the year 23-24, which means that these students would have actually joined the college in 2021, 540 students was the intake, including lateral recruitment. It was 746 students. Because in Maharashtra, you also have lateral, students coming in a lateral way. Of the 746, 690 students graduated. So 56 students did not even graduate, right? Of the 690, 570 were placed and 120 moved for higher studies. And this obviously is people moving on for MBA and those kind of things. But about 120 moved for higher studies, 100% placement, 10.9 lakh rupees is the average salary. And this median salary has been increasing. It was 9.3 lakh 2 years back. Previously it was 10 lakh and now it's 10.9 lakh. So essentially what is happening is the placement, the median salary is going up, the placement has been 100%, and this has been a consistent feature of this particular college. What does the college say if you look at the college? And it's also important for you to understand the branch-wise placement of this college. The branch-wise placement for BTech Computer Sciences, 89% placement. BTech IT, the reason why this number comes in is that we are excluding what is for higher studies possibly, and that's why this placement percentage is coming in. In NRF, they show 100% if you recall that whole thing. But here it is lesser because the failed students, are non-graduate students, or possibly the students who are moving for higher studies has been excluded in this particular data, right? But 89% placement is what they have from, and for, but the highest salary is 54 lakhs and the average salary is 16.34 lakh for CS, right? For BTech in IT, 15 lakhs is the average salary and 85% placement. For BTech Electrical, 11 lakhs is the average salary, 38.52 is the highest salary and 80% placement. BTech Electronics, 82% placement, 38.52 is the highest salary and 11 lakhs is the average salary. BTech Electronics and Telecommunications, 17% is the placement, 38.52 is the highest salary and 11 lakhs is the average salary. For BTech Civil, 96% is the placement, 8 lakhs is the highest salary and 6 lakhs. So here the salary levels come down dramatically if you notice very carefully, right? Then for BTech Mechanical, 99% is the placement, 19 lakhs is the highest salary and 7 lakhs is the average salary. For BTech Production, 62% is the placement, 16 lakhs is the highest salary and 8 lakhs is the average salary. And for BTech Textile, 64% is the placement, 9 lakhs is the highest salary and 4 lakhs is the average salary. Now if you look at it in perspective, you actually will say that, you know, the BTech CS and all is about 16 lakhs. The electronics is about 11 lakhs, right? Then you actually get into the civil and all, which is about 6 lakhs, 6 to 7 lakhs. So this is about 6 to 7 lakhs, right? So which is half of what CS and or IT would be, right? And about 50% or lesser than that of what is electronics. And then of course, textile is really suffering is what I see. But this is the kind of placement that you have in this particular college. Now, what is the kind of rank that you need in MHT CET to be a part of this college? Of course, it's very, very competitive, 4 lakh to 3 lakh, and this being the best college, the highest closing rank in this particular college for BTech CE is 119, which means of the 4.24 lakh students that you actually are appearing, 4.23 lakh who appeared, your rank should be maximum 119 for you to be a part of this college as far as CE is concerned. And if it is information technology, it's 620. BTech Electronics and Telecommunications, 1222. BTech Electronics Engineering is 1374 and BTech EEE is 1873. So if you see the rank also, you should be in the top 1 percentile of this thing, or rather top 0.2 percentile of the MHT CET examination to even get, you know, CSE in this college. And that seems to be the case, that you should be a 99 percentile or 99 percentile and above to get into any of these branches, right? Because remember, when you have 4.23 lakh at 19 percentile, you get a rank of 4,200 plus, right? And here it stops at 1,873 as far as these branches are concerned. Of course, civil and all might go further down, but this is where we stand at this point in time, that you should be 99.6 percentile and above to get into any of these branches out here. Now, that's the first college, which is BJTI, which we covered. Now, let's go to the second one. Now, this one again is COEP. It's a beautiful building. In fact, we do our counseling in the COEP. This was established in 1854. Again, look at it. It's about 172 years old, right? And it's a public institution again, 36 acres of land in Pune. This is based in Pune, 3,570 students, of which 71% are boys and 29% are girls. 161 students come from outside the state of Maharashtra and 134 students come from outside the country also. So between these two, we're dealing with about 8% students coming from outside the state, of which about 4% are from outside the country also. And the faculty is 235 for 3,570. So we're dealing with a 1:14, 1:15 kind of a faculty student ratio. It's a very, very good college. If you get it, you must take it. Now, what is the kind of intake and all? What's the placement that you have? In the year 23-24, which means they would have got into it in 2019-20 kind of a thing. 570 was the intake, including lateral it was 840, of which 778 graduated, 594 were placed. Opted for higher studies 154, right? 95% placement at median salary of 10.5 lakh. And the median salary has been growing from 9.7 to 9.75 to 10.5 lakh. The placement has been consistent about 90% plus. And that is the big story out here, that again, very competitive, but very good student outcomes that you get here because the placements are extremely good. Now, what does it take when we look at the branch-wise placements also? The average CT for CSE was 17.31 lakh. For electronic and telecommunication is 12.65, electrical is 10.28, instrumentation and control engineering is 11.63, mechanical was 8.34, manufacturing science and engineering is 8.81, metallurgy and material technology is 5.47, civil is 7.86, and planning was 5.8 lakh. So if you look at it again, the same thing happens, that by the time you come to core, it is half or one third of what CSE or ECE is. But that's a kind of placement that these people offer. And if you look at it, the highest salary, for example, in CSE was 52.57 lakh in a company called Nutanix, right? And in mechanical, the highest was 21.1 lakh in a company called FineIQ. In metallurgy and materials, 19.18 lakh in Oracle. And Future First took one student at 13.88 lakh, who's from planning also, right? But you actually see the average salary, you actually have the entire story coming there. We're talking of 10.5 lakh being the median salary. All this average salary is about 6 lakhs and above kind of a thing, but for planning. And it goes up to about 18 lakh as the average salary at a branch level. Now, what is the score that you need? We're talking of male. By the way, girls would have a different rank. You must be very clear about that. For BTech CSE, the highest closing rank was 913. For BTech Artificial Intelligence, it was 589. So AI is more in demand here in this book. And we're talking the highest closing rank of MHT CET, right? For electronics and telecommunication, it's 1332. For BTech Electrical Engineering is 2016, and for Mechanical is 2281. Remember when I told you 4.23 lakh students appeared for the examination. So based on that, if you look at it now, we're essentially talking about 99.4 percentile, 99.5 percentile to be figuring anywhere out here. So that's the kind of merit that you need. And again, I repeat, you can 15% seats are for all India quota also. So you can also come into through that route, which is where you saw the study of foreign students and students from outside the state coming into the college. The next one is Sardar Patel Institute of Technology, which is in Mumbai again, established in 1995, so about 30 years old. It's a private college, spread over 47 acres, about 1,800 students, 1,766, 77% are boys and 23% are girls. And 35 students come from outside the state, 98% from within the state, of course, and 90 faculty. So we are, the faculty student ratio is really slightly different, because ideally I would want it to be 1:20 kind of a ratio, which is what Maharashtra possibly allows, right? Now, how's the placements? If you look at the placements here, intake was 240, including lateral it is 317, of which 299 students graduated. So about 18 students did not even graduate, right? And of the 299, 245 students were placed and 37 students moved for higher studies. So when you look at that, 282 is the thing. So 93.51% is the placement. And the median salary, if you look at it, this is based in Mumbai, is 13 lakh rupees. So it's far better than even VJTA for that matter. But VJTA is a public institution, so it's a different aura altogether, right? And in the previous years also, the placement was 12 lakhs and 12 lakhs, 11.92 lakh and 12 lakhs. So very clearly, this also is delivering at 95% kind of a placement and about 12 lakh rupees kind of a salary. What is the rank you need to get into this? By the way, let's look at the placement statistics as per for Sardar Patel again, in terms of each of the at a branch level. When you look at that, 153 students were the total for computer sciences, of which 130 students opted for placement, 126 were placed, 23 opted for higher studies, 100% placement, and that's how it went on. So this is from the institution brochure. What I showed you earlier is the Government of India brochure. So you'd always find that the Government of India brochure will tell you slightly lesser number, because the institution brochure can actually say anything and claim anything. But there's a lot of validation, so you can actually look at it from that perspective. But the same data, institution brochure also would talk about it. But here you will talk of 100% placement, because you show many things into opted for higher studies, and those kind of things will also happen, right? Now, when we look at the kind of rank that you need to be a part of Sardar Patel Institute of Technology, you need, for computer science, it's 1,204. Now, when you look at 1,204, we're essentially talking of 99.7 percentile or 99.73 percentile. For BTech CSE, it is 1,134. And for electronics and telecommunications, it's 2,226. So again, here also you notice, unless you get 99.5 percentile and above, you don't stand a chance of getting into any of these good branches at Sardar Patel Institute of Technology. The next one is Dwarkadass J. Sangvi College of Engineering, and is again in Mumbai. This spread over 47 acres, established in 1994, so about 32 years old. About 77% are boys, 23% are girls, right? and about close to 100% is from within the state. So very few students from outside the state prefer this. And I keep saying this, there are many a time students don't understand that it's far better that you go through JOSA counseling, but appear here through the JOSA counseling to be a part of this thing, because you have greater chance of getting into a better college than picking up the NIT and IIIT for the brand name that you have, but you might not have a student outcome. So you must keep watching these kind of colleges so that you understand. See, ultimately your objective should be to get into the best college possible where the student outcome is there, not a college based on a brand name or anything. That's what I suggest, because these colleges give you a very good student outcome. Now, what is the kind of placement if you look at it here? Actual intake is 660, including lateral it's 761, 732 graduated, 423 were placed, and 203 opted for higher studies, about 80% placement at about 7.8 lakh. So you're dealing with about 8 lakh kind of a placement and about 80% placement across the year. So if you notice that, and that is decent enough for you. But based on the kind of rank, what we're talking of, because what is the kind of, if you look at the placement statistics, the highest city is 32 lakh rupees, average is 11.1 lakh, and median is 10.4 lakh is what the institution brochure says. What I showed you earlier is the NRF data. Now, what is the kind of rank that you need to have to get into this college? 2130 for CSC. For IT, it is 3159. For BTech AI and machine learning is 3760. For data science and AI is 3235. And for data science is 3663. If you look at it again, you're dealing with about 99 percentile and above. It's actually 19.2 percentile and above is what to get into any of these branches. Because at 2130, it's 99.5 percentile. The next one is SCTR Pune Institute of Computer Technology. This was established in 1983, so about 43 years old. It's a private college in 5 acres of land. 72% are boys and 28% are girls, and 58 students come from outside the state of Maharashtra, and faculty is 166, right? Now, coming to the placements of this college, about 660 students is the actual intake the college has, of which, but including lateral, the total intake is 802. The graduating students is 857. So I've noticed that across the board, there seems to be more graduating students because the lateral might have been added in second year also, for all that I know. So I can't verify that, but that seems to be the case here. Of this 857, 708 were placed. 37 students opted for higher studies. 83% placement, and the placement median salary is 8.37 lakh. The only thing that I have here is that the placement median salary seems to have fallen while the placement percentage has gone up in this institution, and that can be looked at very carefully. The next one is PICT Pune, which is again in the city of Pune. We talk about the highest closing rank here for the same college. What's the highest closing rank? It's 1,430 if you are dealing with AI, right? For computer science engineering, it's 1,151. For electronics and computer engineering, we're talking of MHT CET highest closing rank, remember that? So we're talking of open category, highest closing rank, MHT CET examination. 1,799 is for BE electronics and computer engineering. 2,849 for electronics and telecommunication engineering. And BE information technology is 1,686. Right. So that's the kind of, again, if you look at it, again, everywhere you need to be about 99.3 percentile and above in MHT CET to be a part of it. But any one of you can appear through the common admission process. The 15% all India quota through JEE main would happen here also. Right. So these are the colleges that we listed out, the top 5 colleges that we think you should be looking at if you are appearing, want to study in Maharashtra, anywhere in Maharashtra. Or if you have a good JOSA JEE rank and you can use that to be a part of this process. We'll continue to do this kind of a series for all the examinations that we have in the country, because there are some very, very good local colleges that are hidden gems that you must be looking at or be a part of your consideration set, and which is where we thought we should bring this list out to you. If you want me to cover any examination, please do that. I'll be happy to do it. Thank you so much. Namaste.